I am back again from our fair little hamlet in a little town called Florence, Oregon, where I'm bringing you some Catholic news and commentary. And also, we are cooking today. We are going to roast a chicken. So I have everything set up in my kitchen. Okay. And so I wanted to thank you for being here. And let's see here. I have got ba-ba, Catholic news for one and all today, Thursday, February 19th, 2026. My name is Shannon Vavich. I am a gutter Catholic slash saucy divorcee, nearly saucy divorcee. And I am happy to be in my hometown of Florence, Oregon, in my home state of Oregon. And hello, I'm very happy to have you here. And I am streaming successfully on 4 platforms with Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Substack. And so, thank you everyone for being here. And so, what I have for you today is a little mishmash, a bit of an appetizer platter of the latest in Catholic news. And then we're going to pop into the kitchen. Are you guys ready for this? We did kind of a practice run the other day. Then we're going to pop into my kitchen and we're going to make dinner. Or we're just going to get a chicken started to roast. Why not? And then this will be on replay, on all the platforms soon. I'm having a hard time putting my replays up on Instagram. So if you're watching on Instagram, thank you very much for being here. I can't see your comments if you're on Instagram. So if you want to take part in the conversation, come on over to Facebook or YouTube. And the same goes with Substack group. Now, in the future, I will be having more exclusive content for paid subscribers on Substack. As it is, if you go to my Substack, this is what I look like there. Shannon Vavich, memoirist and expose writer, revealing the hidden machinery of far-right Catholic power, and also staggeringly disrespectful. You can follow me on Substack for free, or you can become a paid subscriber. And that, if you become a paid subscriber, then you also get access to my memoir in real time. These are some of the latest chapters. And in my memoir in real time, I'm just talking about what it feels like to come home to my hometown of Florence, Oregon, after my marriage ended abruptly and without warning from my perspective, and what that's been like, and what that's been like as a Catholic to suddenly be on the margins of your own faith, without expecting that. And that's a topic, we touched on that a little bit yesterday of, what that has been like. And so for those of us who love our Catholic faith, but we don't fit in the margins anymore for whatever reason, that's why we call ourselves gutter Catholics. And even if you do, if you do, I said it wrong the other day, even if you are in the mainstream and you fit right in your parish or whatever church you go to, wherever crowd you're in, and you find yourself still wanting to stand for the least of these, and protect the vulnerable and the poor and the downtrodden. If you want to do the Jesus stuff, you can. Okay. And that's what we're all about, gutter Catholics or gutter Methodists or whoever. But if you want to read my memoir in real time, let me see, but I did put a link there. Yeah. Let me just type this in so the Facebook crowd. In my memoir. I just love saying that, memoir, my memoir. Okay, and so here you go. If you want to go to those and subscribe, you can. Your paid subscriptions are keeping the lights on, helping me pay for legal counsel. Well, paying for legal counsel, everything is because of your subscriptions and your kindness and helping me get on my feet as soon as possible so I could resume the work of exposing the far right machinery within the Catholic Church. Not Pope Leo. He's such a, I mean, this is big time that we have a pope who is doing all kinds of things radical. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But your paid subscriptions have helped me, overcome some things and rebuild my life in record time and resettle with my children in my hometown and get things moving legally. And so thank you so, so, so much. And the combined support of everybody, it carried us through Christmas. And I'm still getting care packages every day. And I I have my own PO box now. Let me write it down real quick because my parents have been very supportive. Um, and my parents have I gave out their PO box, when we first got here, and because you guys bought out several wish lists for me and the children and carried us through Christmas, and it was all sent to my parents' PO box. And I have my own now. 439 It's like Beverly Hills 90210 only. Beverly Hills 90210 only. We are 97439. Let's see. So here is my new PO box. And so I'm still getting try changing it a bit. Okay. Yeah, my post office box. YouTube says thinks it's a scam. Anyway, my post office box in Florence, Oregon is PO Box 195, Florence, Oregon 97439. I'll post it back to YouTube and I'll put it on all the other platforms too. And my parents were they've been very supportive, and they took all the packages from their little post office in Westlake, Oregon, which is such a tiny post office that it didn't take long for the people there to know what was going on. And but now, of course, I can receive my own packages. But I wanted to show you guys this. We'll get with the Catholic stuff in a minute. We're gonna make a roasted chicken. We're just gonna settle in. All right. I have my tea. I might have a refill. Okay. Because as a saucy, soon to be divorcee, I am all about indulgences. I may have 2 cups of tea, herbal, and it's fabulous. Okay. All right. And so, like 3 weeks ago, was it that when I did my first live after a while, and I mentioned that I had these little practices where you just sprinkle joy, like cupcake sprinkles, wherever. And one of the things, and I was just explaining, I was opining that it seems like no matter what I did for the longest time, nothing ever came back to me. You know how you can do that sometimes, or you give out joy and like good things, and then like, but what happens when nothing comes back? Okay, and then I was just describing that, and I said that, for the longest time, I kept finger puppets in my purse, and if I ever met, like, a fussy toddler in a line, because I understand what it feels like to have fussy toddlers, and you're standing in line in the checkout, and you're trying to get this or that, and, I always would keep finger puppets in my purse so I could, like, "Hey, look at this," and it just gives the mother maybe 10 seconds, maybe 30, and so somebody sent me finger puppets, and they just arrived in the mail yesterday. Thank you so much, and I got a whole bunch of finger puppets now, so watch out, Florence, Oregon, because I might just finger puppet bomb somebody in a line at Fred Meyer or something. Anyway, it's just one of those things. So it was so sweet of you to do this because I mentioned in the live that I didn't have my I left finger puppets back in Germany, but now we have them. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much for that. And everyone's been so decent and kind and supportive. And I really, really, really appreciate it. So let's see. Really? Lots of upset MAGA Catholics on Facebook today, upset over the Society of St. Pius X. You mean the schism? Are they really? Oh, please put a link. Please put a link if you can, and we'll go ahead and check that out. Wow. Wow. How Anyway, I super appreciate that. So we're just gonna skim through the Catholic news, and there's always more. There's always more, but let's just skim through the Catholic news that I had time just to compile today really quick. Let's see, we'll do this. All right. As Thursday, February 19th, 2026. The Vatican will not participate in Trump's board of peace. Now, do you guys remember it was a couple of weeks ago when I said, just watch, okay? He's gonna decline. It's like when he took that envelope from JD. I think it was Easter. Was it the inaugural? I can't remember, but he met with JD. Um JD, is being awkward as JD is. And he handed him like a t-shirt or something from his kids. And then he handed him an envelope. And Pope Leo took the envelope and was like, yes, yes. And he just put it down right over here, like way over at the other side of his desk. And I said, I bet he's going to do the same thing. He's going to say, no, thank you. And then I said, just watch them do the whole thing. Like, well, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the Pope is not interested in peace, right? They were going to limp it all together and just be like, oh, it's too bad that the vicar of Christ, who, as we know, is the Prince of Peace, is anti-peace if he does not join Trump's board of peace. That's what I predicted. And we do have something a little bit similar. And just so you know, if you're new here, we skim by the articles, we talkie, and then I have the link so we can actually visit the articles and read maybe a couple of paragraphs or whatever and just see what you guys have to say. Hopefully it's a bit a gentler way to take news, because we're all here together, and and you know, just no big deal. We'll make a chicken. We'll go in and cook something. Okay. Like I said, I feel like Mr. Rogers. And oh, I have puppets now. So yes. Okay. Of course, the darling of America, has had some things to say about Pope Leo declining to join the Board of Peace. And the White House reacts to the Vatican declining an invitation to join President Trump's Board of Peace. I have a clip to show you. She calls it very unfortunate. It is very unfortunate. And, it kind of reminds me, you guys ever watch The School of Rock, which we love in this house? And so Jack Black is kicked out of the band, and then he makes up a song that's like, how can you kick me out of what is mine? You know? And it kind of is one of those things where and I think we all experience this in junior high, or maybe in some kind of, cliquish, kind of Darvo-y, kind of gaslighty, kind of coercive, control-y, what do you call it? Toxic situation where um they just decide to make a new group. Like, we're gonna kick you out of, like, whatever, we're making a new group here, and the new group is you're not invited, okay? And if you don't join our new group, then you're anti whatever it is we stand for. Like, if you don't join this new group, you're anti this, you're anti that, and you're anti that. And I think we all can see what the priorities of the Pope are now. Peace. Ha ha. And so that's, I guess, kind of reminds me of that. And, I think Pope Leo even said, like, well, we do have the United Nations. Maybe we should stick with that. Yes. Well, yes, she is. Uh, Hello, Garden Valley, Idaho. I'm happy to have you here. What a beautiful profile picture. That looks like a hiking scene. Yes, I have seen, James Tallarico, and he seems amazing, and I think I mean, he's just so calm and even keeled. If you're in a situation where there's a lot of darvoing going on and there's a lot of, reverse, like, gotcha, James Tallarico is one of those people who is so calm and just can explain things so well. And, why be in a fuss over this? Yeah. Oh, there's very interesting, bizarro. Yeah. Yeah. You know. And hello, Memphis. Hello, Texas. Hello, Brisbane, Australia. Fabulous. I've never been to Australia before. I maybe we'll do that sometime. All right, next. Okay, as promised, I wanted to talk about the Epstein files and the ties to Steve Bannon and the anti-Francis campaign. And, Steve Bannon is such an interesting character. And I do have a theory that the president of the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts, is trying to, push his own kind of media reach and kind of maybe they're getting a little fed up with Steve Bannon lately, and we can talk about that another time. Kevin Roberts is always interesting to talk about because he is an Opus Dei adjacent Catholic, and maybe he is an Opus Dei, but how would we even know? We wouldn't. Um, but there's a lot of crusader talk here. There's a lot of the designs of bringing back a feudalistic society with a rigid hierarchy, and that's kind of what I like to talk about and explain, based on my time in the far right side of the Catholic Church and what I learned there. So, not just Opus Dei, but the Society of St. Pius X, and a lot of other very conservative sects within the Catholic Church that don't like Pope Leo. Well, they're getting there. For a while, it was interesting to watch how they'd be like, yes, but I think he's really going to come through for us. And then, of course, he has to speak on behalf of immigrants and ruin everything. And so, there is such a huge division in the Catholic Church right now. And that is how, that's what we talk about here. Oh, good. Oh, lovely. Well, hello in Sweden. I'm so, so happy to see this. And you're so kind. You've made my day. It's after 10 o'clock here in Sweden. Your recent live broadcasts have become what I listen to before I fall asleep. I'm so glad. I was brought up Catholic, but long story now, belong to Svenska kyrkan, which is very similar to Catholic practice with priests, etc., but are very open to everyone. Well, that is fascinating. I have never heard of this before. I'm going to do a little research. Well, I'm so glad that you would join us and join us here. And I'm glad that I at least I'm glad I'm not upsetting. Where you would be like, I can't sleep after watching her. She stresses me out. That's nice. Well, I'll continue. And I could do a puppet show too. Would you like us to sing bedtime songs for you? You know, oh, hey, oh, how are you? I'm so glad to see you again. I'm so glad to see you again. How is the Saint? How is the Saint Pius group the same or different than Opus Dei? Well, they have different founders. But generally speaking, they have their own different, bells and whistles and, interesting identifications, and each one of these really far right sects within Catholicism are, they have their own little brands, their own little clubs, cliques, their own little markers, their own little like symbolism, bumper stickers, things you're going to find. But what you will see that is the same in all of these groups is they believe in a church that was pre-Vatican II. Okay. So Vatican II were the massive reforms within the Catholic Church. In the early 1960s. And so, many people here remember this and remember that that's when there, big changes happened. And the whole point of Vatican II was to move the church into modern times, okay, and make it so the focus of the church Okay, because if we go back to pre-Vatican II and ideology and kind of the point of the whole thing, it was to convert the masses and maybe even by force. It's a little something we like to remind everyone, and they were called the Crusades, okay? And so, thank you, Paisley. They each say they have their own charism. And so a charism would be a special gift, right? Many people would say that my charism might be talking and with finger puppets and going into my kitchen to cook, or whatever your special little gift of the Holy Spirit is. That's what a charism is. And Brid says all of them are illegitimate. Um, I it's the same thread. Oh, you need a Pope puppet. Well, if there's anyone out there that's crafty and would like to send me a little Pope Pope Leo puppet, we could do that. Sure. Oh, give me a Steve Bannon puppet too. Oh, and like little hands that do this, and like a little Kevin Roberts puppet. That would be so funny. If anyone wants to do that, my P.O. box is P.O. Box 195, Florence, Oregon 97439. Why not? Okay. Why not? We must have fun. Okay. Is it? Brid's charism is discerning bullshit. Fabulous. Welcome. And give us your takes on things. Good. We need a lot of that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The cast of character puppets. Yeah. If any puppet people out there. Oh, so interesting. So this is the Pope Pius the 10th. I just keep saying Pope Pius. That's Saint Pope Pius. Saint Pius the 10th. Society of St. Pius X. One is not exclusive to the other, but Opus is united to Rome and wants to be they just like to be the secret of Rome. Oh boy, that's a rabbit hole. That sounds like fun. There's been so much happening with Opus Dei lately. We got to get into that sometime, and we will. I'm just getting my groove back, and as you can see, I'm here and happy to be here. Yeah. Remember, the Crusades were going on up until the Napoleonic Wars. We're going to have to talk about the Crusades more because, so if you don't know, if you're not, if this is new and you're wondering, well, this is crazy. You mean I have to worry about the Catholics too? Not all of us. No. But there are a lot of Catholics who don't like the Vatican II reforms and they want to take things back to where they were. And I'm talking about really in your daily life. So, like, if you looked at Project 2025, uh, or 26, they want to end no fault divorce. They want to eventually end access to birth control. They want to, I mean, y- y- I'm trying. They're serious, okay? They believe that's the only way to be human on the earth, the only way for humans to have sustainability on the earth and keep an order, right? A moral order. And they mean to impose it on everybody through policy, okay? And I was in certain far right Catholic circles, probably for a span of about 15 years, all over the place, because my soon to be ex husband was in the military for over 30 years. And what I learned going from place to place and finding these cells everywhere we went was that the goal is Christendom. Okay. And what is Christendom? And that's one world religion, right? And they would say, we don't say, thy democracy come, thy will be done. They would say, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. And a lot of them are very out and proud that they believe in a monarchy. They are monarchists. In fact, a lot of times they'll even put that on their social media profiles. Monarchists. I've caught a few in the wild and sparred with them. Very interesting. Okay. And they believe that democracy is not sustainable, that it's bound to fail. It's been a failure. And if you are familiar with the name Peter Thiel, right? He is one of the founders of Palantir, and he's also he was very aligned with Opus Dei. So we've talked about that a lot. So if you're just like, wait, I thought that was just the evangelicals. Yeah, there's a big far right Catholic element there too. Thankfully, we have a pope who I'm sure he would call himself a gutter Catholic. And the whole point of being a gutter Catholic is that you stand for the least of these, number one. All right. This is the social justice wing of the Catholic Church. And then, if the spirit calls you, you bully the bully. And that's, y- you stand for the least of these. Yep. Thank you. You're glad I'm back. I'm glad to be back too. Doing hard things. Yeah. Well, I didn't expect my marriage to end so suddenly, but here we are. And so I'm doing my best just to keep things calm and steady for the kids and to move on with grace and dignity. And of course, I wish my soon to be ex-husband all the best. So, oh, really? Oh, really? So that's not okay. You had an on-installation priest, so a chaplain in the military, which I have been in contact with a woman who is doing journalistic work and deep research into the Christian nationalist thread within military chaplains and military chapels. And I have not been able to do any interviews, ever since my marriage ended suddenly because I was busy with a lot of things, as you can imagine. But I'm almost getting ready to do interviews, and I have been in touch with her. And so, yeah, there's a lot to talk about when you're talking about the Christian nationalist element in the military through the chaplains. And I've met all kinds of chaplains, and so I'm happy to share my stories with her. So you had an on installation priest brag during mass, brag during mass. Think about that, about refusing to baptize the child of a queer couple. That was years ago. Yeah. Unacceptable. That's terrible. Brag during mass. Okay. I think that it's time for, this kind of polarizing, mocking, shaming to stop, especially during mass from the pulpit. Ridiculous. So, what happened? Are you talking about in my life? Well, I'm still putting the pieces together myself, but if you'd like to subscribe, or I'll just pop this up. My memoir in real time, The Gutter Catholic Goes Home, is on Substack. It's behind a paywall. I've just published chapter 14, and it just really talks about, my experiences, my viewpoint, and what it felt like to come home to my hometown of Florence, Oregon, really unexpectedly, after 30 years of being a military spouse. And your paid subscriptions are not just paying for legal counsel and legal fees, but right now they're also paying my expenses and caring for my 3 youngest children. Yes. I do think there is something to this. That's why they're allowing everything to appear as if it's falling apart so they can claim democracy is a failed system and all the debauchery is because democratic systems allow for it. I really get a sense of that. Um, and when you look at, the tech bros have such a part to play in this. Now, look, who would benefit from a monarchist system? I don't know if you guys are familiar with Curtis Yarvin, but he's one of the dark Enlightenment bros, heavily affiliated with Peter Thiel. And they love this idea, this monarchist ideals, where just centralized power, authoritarianism. It's, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then they'll rush in with their Heritage Foundation solutions to force order and control out of chaos. Exactly. Oh, thank you. Highly recommend subscription to Shannon's work. Her journey helps all of us who have a lived experience of patriarchy and deconstructing that. Yeah. I greatly appreciate your presence, your eyes on, and just your kindness and decency and support. I really do. Um, yeah. The Catholic propaganda has ramped up too, probably because of Lent, but also lots of Hallow commercials. Okay. So if you are, watching TV, you see Hallow app. The Hallow app is is the most popular Catholic prayer app in the world right now. JD Vance was a seed investor to the Hallow app, as well as Peter Thiel, interestingly. And they do Mark Wahlberg. Oh, and did you see that, like, Mark Wahlberg and the other actor guy are walking around with their big, perfectly defined ash crosses on their foreheads? And of course, so many people, especially, Catholics who, like, we know the thing. No one comes away from Ash Wednesday Mass with a perfect cross, emblazoned on your forehead. It's more of just like smudgy, like, get out of here. The priest is tired. He's got holy, he's got Lent coming up. He's going to be working his butt off over Holy Week. He just got over Christmas. He wants to ash. He wants to ash your forehead and get you out of there. Like, he's not going in with a paintbrush to make it, like, no, you just look like, you kind of walked into something, somebody just, you know. So somebody was saying, a few people were commenting like, no, that looks performative. And I agree. Okay. So all of this performative business of, like, look at me walking around. I went to mass. Did you? I don't know. Just watch out for that. But yeah, there's a lot of performative stuff going on, in my opinion. So yes, the Hallow app. Yeah. Are they cringe? Yeah, it is more of a thumbprint. It is more of a thumbprint, like a thumbprint cookie. Oh, we should make those. Those little thumbprint cookies with the jam in the middle? Yes, we could do those. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the two actors with their perfect ash cross. Thank you. Well, it wasn't my pure observation. I was observing other people observing. Did he now? Interesting. Oh, Ash Wednesday. Did you spell that improperly, or is that supposed to be there? Did Marco have the perfect Ash Wednesday? Oh, gosh, you know what? I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of these people. Yeah, a giant thumbprint. Okay, so now we're going to be, and this is what I noticed about the culture of the far right side of the Catholic Church. Okay, and then we'll go on and we'll flip through the news. We'll make a chicken. We'll come back. We'll read some articles. Okay, it is a brand. And this is what, and I mean, it's like a brand. Like, I'm a blah blah blah. Like, and what are you? Yes, we know that the Catholic Church is a very old church. And those of us who are in the Catholic Church on the social justice wing, we believe our mission on earth is to stand for the least of these. And then if you're a gutter Catholic and the spirit moves you, you can bully the bully. Okay. Don't tell anybody I told you to, though. I got some stories to share later. But this whole idea of a branding, and if you notice that it has a bit of an elitist flair to it. And when we're talking about Marco Rubio, I'm sorry, I don't have the proper slides for what I'm talking about. Just, mea culpa. If we're talking about Marco Rubio and we're talking about this whacked out Orban-esque, okay, and just so you know, Viktor Orban, not a good guy. He's the whatever ruler of Hungary. And what they are wooing, all right, what he is trying to do in his wooing and saying, like, Viktor Orban and Europe, we need to connect with Europe. And I think I saw some references to remigration and a lot of really dangerous ideas. It's because So if you didn't know this, Project 2025, which and there's also 2026 now, which is the blueprint of bringing back a lot of this hierarchy and this Eurocentric, um, um, how do you say this? I don't know, fascism to America. That was based on a document written for the Danube Institute, which is Viktor Orban's think tank, okay, in Hungary. And so I mean, they're really coming out with it now, and I can't even believe it's happening, but so many of us called it out a long time ago. So if you're new, yeah. Oh, that's it. I always appreciate your commentary because you have a background in this as well, right? Zanzer does. Catholic exceptionalism equal Catholic elites. Yes. And that's why, when I made up the word gutter Catholic, which this was before, this was before I knew, this was before I had any idea I was going to land on the margins of the Catholic Church, that my marriage was going to end and I was going to end up in like this divorcee Catholic. I was just like, you know what about, and I coined the term gutter Catholic, which is not a Catholic elite. Okay. And like, I think gutter Catholic is not, I mean, I think it's a play on words, right? Because as Catholics and as any human, right, in the world, you really should be looking out for the least of these. You really should be down with everybody else, right? There should be no elites. And this is what they want. They want a medieval system back, or a feudalist. Okay, so if you don't know what that means, it doesn't mean futile, like resistance is futile. It doesn't mean like the bOaRd. Futile means hopeless, but feudalism would mean a way of living where there is master and servant, okay, where there would be the peasants, okay, the peasants, right, which the tech bros talk a lot about, right, and then the scholars, right, and then the rulers, and in a medieval system of feudalism based on pre-Vatican II church doctrine, and a lot of that is Thomas Aquinas, which we have to talk about that later because he had some stuff that's good and stuff that could be a little misleading, I think. You have a system where the scholars are theologians and they are advising the rulers on how to rule, okay, in a Catholic world, which is what they want. Okay. Oh. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're gonna pull through. I do. And, thank you for watching from Australia. Happy to have you here. Great cat. I love that cat. What's its name? I always like to learn the names of animals and things. Um, let's see. Steve Bannon has so many skeletons in his closet, he had to rent a storage unit. That's a good one. All right, let's look what else is on the okay. Oh, some more of Epstein. Despite Epstein's toxicity, Steve Bannon stood by him, texts indicate. So we're getting evidence now of their emails and their texts and the plot to take down Pope Francis. Fascinating. Now, one of my favorite gutter Catholic, I don't know if he'd call himself a gutter, Mark Shea. One of my favorite firebrands is Mark Shea. And once I get back to being able to do interviews again and actually, I'm getting there. My brain is coming back to me. Everything is falling into place. But um, Mark Shea is one of my favorite firebrands. And he posted this. Let me explain. So if you listened to like EWTN radio or podcasts about a decade ago, you would recognize the name Mark Shea. And When Trump came into office the first time, Mark started speaking out and saying, "Wait, this isn't okay." And so, Mark definitely, drew a line in the sand, and now he's still writing books, but you would recognize his name from EWTN, from um, any podcast. I used to listen to Catholic Answers. Remember, with Patrick Coffin. And interestingly, I do remember standing in my kitchen in Okinawa listening to Catholic Answers and thinking, this kind of feels like a cult. And then I remember thinking, that's ridiculous. It's not a cult, it's a Catholic church. Anyway, and that was kind of the beginning of me going, something is amiss. And of course, it wasn't long until I stopped homeschooling. I put all my kids in school in 2015. I backed way out, right, of the far right side. I started, researching. And so, yes, Mark Shea, he's a firebrand. And so, honestly, go follow him on Facebook. He's very active on Facebook. So he put this up. Okay, now this is, I mean, maybe I need some sleuths. All right. So Mark Shea says MAGA Catholics. Also, Mark Shea brands, he calls pre-Vatican II Catholics, like the fringe conservative sects, or cells, and MAGA Catholics. He calls them the greatest Catholics of all time. Okay. So if you see anybody say that, if you hear me say that, I am quoting Mark. I'm going to try to give Mark credit for that every time I say the greatest Catholics of all time, is what Mark Shea calls the MAGA Catholics. And because they are extraordinary. And so he says MAGA Catholics giving the American church something to on repent of on Ash Wednesday for 10 years. And so this was, let's see, this was taken in Corpus Christi. Okay, so if you can see, these are very humble crosses that it looks, I mean, I'm nobody. I am merely an unlettered pie baker. Also, I have been described as a self-taught influencer, and I have all kinds of other barbs and jabs I like to use as my tagline, but I am nobody. But I will say I'm not a theologian, or even, anybody who has studied the life of Christ. Not really. But if Jesus was gonna make a cross himself, I don't know, would he make that back in, 2,000 years ago? Would he be really interested in America? That's a America cross. And so anyway, it says a cross wrapped in a flag. Well, it's actually painted with a Republican elephant at the center. I've never seen anything more on the nose blasphemous. So it turns out I did a little research, and well, not research, I just clicked around. But if anybody wants to, go to Mark's page. If you go to the comments of this picture right here, it says this was a photo taken by just some random person in Corpus Christi at a Republican event in Corpus Christi. And nobody can figure out, are these Catholics? Corpus Christi, maybe. But there's all kinds of pictures of this particular event. And so anyway, if anyone wants to get more information on these fine, humble, rugged crosses, let me know, or put it in the comments or whatevs. You know what? This is all happening in real time. We're just people. We're just people doing the best we can. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. Well, you are in good company then. Yeah. I still find it odd that Pope Francis passed away the day after he met with JD. Always thought something didn't feel right, and the press made a big deal of JD shaking hands with the Pope. And all I could think of was, something doesn't seem right. Why is he even there? And then the next morning we hear the Pope has passed. Just a coincidence. Coincidence probably, but it does feel odd. you know, um, Actually, if you go to Letters from Leo on Substack, That guy, what's his I know I have his name right here. He is always posting just the best articles, so timely, and he posted something a few days ago that Cardinal Airdo so Cardinal Airdo was up and running for Pope, and my reaction to Pope Leo being elected was pure joy and laughter. I thought, "That is funny," in a good way. But, Christopher Hale, of course, doesn't he do the best work? I hope to do interviews soon. And, Cardinal Airdo, it rhymes with hairdo. You can always remember that. From Hungary, they were talking about how close he was, and so he was one of the far right, candidates. So anyway, we're gonna have to look into Christopher Hale's work a little bit. Everyone go, yeah. Letters from Leo from Christopher Hale. It's always good. It's just, and he's prolific, prolific. Um, so anyway, you know what? I am so appreciative of you guys being here. I didn't expect this part to take 45 minutes, but let's go because we can go and make chicken. I don't know if you're interested. We can just make some chicken. And if you don't want to make chicken, you don't have to make chicken. But I'll explain. Wait, so this is why I have this on because this is my microphone for the next section, right? I feel like Mr. Rogers. I'll go in there and we'll make chicken and we'll talk more about Catholic stuff because I got more stories to share. Mm. And I can still see your you know, comments and I can still add them as long as I can wash my hands in between. I'm like, get the chicken goo off before I push the buttons. So anyway, well, thank you. Well, we're going to go look at dinner and I'm going to show you how I'm making my dinner in just a second. So, and I don't have to talk yet. Okay. I need to go in there and then I can talk. Oh, you made you made protein pancakes. Good for you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I love your guys' comments. They're so, so good. Everyone needs to look at the comments. I wish I could highlight every one. Okay, now the big, funny, interesting, weird thing here is that we could have a sound issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute this microphone. Okay, so maybe I should bring my puppets out. Okay, you're not going to hear me for a second because I'm going to get this microphone set up. Okay, so mute. We're going to take this off. And can you hear me? Yay, it worked. Okay, so now I'm going to walk over to my kitchen. You have to understand that this is fun for me. You have to understand that this is me, you know, I suppose it's a bit of a play. Yay. I suppose it's a bit playing. Yay. You can hear me. Good. And anyway, I feel like Mr. Rogers because I can come to my kitchen and then we can make a chicken. And I was going to tell you the story. Okay. So if you're wondering, like, why am I called the Flying Kitchen? Well, that's because I was a military spouse for 30 years and I mean we were always moving and I was always trying to create something for myself because life was hard and it is a big chicken, isn't it? So I so love that you guys are hanging out with me. And I was always trying to, I knew, and especially because I have 7 children, I mean, I knew that I needed to work for my own brain, right? And so I was always, I had a cake business for 11 years, but every time we moved, I had to shut it down. And, it was very frustrating because military spouses many times there's no way you can actually have like an employment path, right? And so I thought, well, even if I am not making any money, I can still work. And so I always put myself on a work schedule. And I taught cooking lessons for a little while. And then Here, I'll just get this out. Oh, I know. I was going to show you first. Yeah, this is a big chicken. This is what we would. This is in the proper culinary world. We would call this a big ass chicken. Anyway, I crack myself up. Anyway, so my point is that after I shut down my little cake business because we were moving too much, I went ahead and I went ahead and started the flyingkitchen.com, and I started the Facebook page that you're on right now. And gosh, for like 10 years, I had maybe like 200 followers. And now on Facebook, that very same page, I think we're at 66,000. So, I mean, that's been kind of exciting. Anyway, I wanted to show you this. Let's see. Oh, I think I'm on camera number 3. Should I put it on there? No, I'm just going to show you how to do this. So before I start my chicken, I wanted to show you that. So this is from the neck of a butternut squash. Okay. And because a friend brought me an air fryer, and it's been so nice. I've been making really nice potato wedges with that air fryer, but I wanted to show you, whenever you're cutting a butternut squash, because they're so like wonky, you really need to cut it in half. You need the neck, and then you need the bulb, right? Which is what I use these with. But butternut squash makes really nice little fries. And so if you use the neck part, you get these like good little fries. And then you can put them in your air fryer, and you can have butternut squash fries. I don't know. It's just, I thought I'd show you. Anyway, so I started the Flying Kitchen in 2010, okay, when I was expecting my 5th child, who is now 17. And no, after I was expecting my 6th child when I started the flyingkitchen.com. And, it was just a little website. It's still a little website. I'm going to redo it. But anyway, that's why this is called the Flying Kitchen. Okay, I remember. That's what I was telling you. So anyway, if you get a butternut squash, you can just take the neck part and create these little fries. And then I'll just put them in the air fryer right now. Okay, that'll be my lunch. Anyway, it's all good. So this air fryer is great. I was so happy with it. And I have been able to, cook frugally and make all kinds of really good things for my kids. So I'll just put it right here for now. Okay, anyway, let's see what other questions you have. Yes. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, so potato wedges, and we'll make them sometime. Also, I've had a lot of success with air frying cauliflower. Olive oil, salt, pepper, any seasonings, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, and then you air fry it. And so, yeah, seasoned is really good. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, is that also Southern? Is that a big ass chicken? That's right. Yeah, I will. You know what? I always enjoyed making a lot of dishes from a whole chicken. And I don't know if you guys, I don't know how long you've been here, but I, with 7 kids, I became actually, well, I really know how to stock a freezer. And so it wasn't even that long ago. What was it? It was about a year ago that I put like 45 dinners in freezer because I had just started this work, which I happened upon this work by accident. Okay. Which about a year, here's a big ass chicken. We'll put it in here. By the way, this pot is my parents', and they've been very supportive, and I need to bring them back their roaster. I hate raw chicken is so gross. I need to bring them back their roaster. So I'll use this, and then yeah. But it's a really good little roaster. It really is. I do have a cloth here, so I don't contaminate everything. This isn't really the proper way to wash your hands after you've touched raw poultry, but we're here doing this. Okay. Anyway, so I came upon my work and exposing the far right side of the Catholic Church about a year ago when I was out. just a crap ton of salt on there. I was out with my youngest, and it was her birthday. We went to an antique shop, and I found this giant crucifix. I called it later I called it the big ass crucifix. It is big. It's like this. I mean, it looks like it's for a chapel. And I was, drawn to it. But I'm, a Catholic, and I'm weird. And so whenever I see something really gaudy and everything, I'm like, well, I need to get that. Okay. So anyway, I brought it home, and I brought it home, and my kids started making fun of me right away, onions. And because they do, I don't make my children practice because I believe in freedom of thought. It's radical, I know. But so my kids, I'm walking in the door with this big ass crucifix, and my kids are making fun of me, and they're like, "Oh, there's Mama with a big ass crucifix," because in my house in Germany, I had all kinds of religious art everywhere, and I'm gonna add some potatoes next. I already chopped these up, and we're just kind of making a big heat a heat packet, which is also known as an oven. Anyway, but we're going to put the top on this, and we're just going to cook the crap out of it for a while. Anyway, so I brought it into my house. My kids started making fun of me, so I put it up on Instagram. This is sage. Look, it's not hard to make just put a bunch of crap in here. It all tastes good. Anyway, so I put it up on Instagram, and I was like, look at this big ass crucifix I just got. And someone from the far right side of the Catholic Church who knew me from like 25 years prior, who apparently had been stalking me and, trolling me and harassing me and saying horrible things to me. Well, they just decided to uncloak. That's paprika. They just decided to uncloak, and they said I had a vile soul. They said she has a dark and vile soul. And that made me mad. That pissed me off. And so then I decided to spill all their secrets, because that's what happens. Anyway, so then I started talking about, the far right side of the Catholic Church and Opus Dei and the monarchists and all the stuff they want. And then that's what got me into this line of work. And there's a much longer story about how it's helped me. And that will be in my memoir in real time, in the print version, which I don't have a publisher yet, but I will. And I definitely, I'm going to pick this up a little bit. I want the top to be a little crispy. I definitely want a traditional publisher. I'm not messing around with self-publishing. Okay. Anyway, it turns out, this is the story. Okay. It turns out the big ass crucifix was from France, from a town, this butternut squash, from a town called Rouen, which is the exact same town in the same place that Joan of Arc was burnt at the stake. So that's my story of my mystical big ass crucifix, which we did get our household goods from Germany. My estranged husband, whom I wish all the best, sent our household goods from Germany, 8,000 pounds. And they are all olive oil. They are all in 2 storage units. Florence Mini Storage, a wonderful place for your storage needs, and a really nice lady who works there. And the big ass crucifix should be in there somewhere. So as soon as I get it, I'll put it up on the wall here. I don't know, maybe you guys can help me. Anyway, here's our big old chicken, our big ass chicken. We can do so much with this after we roast it. And I'm probably going to make a chicken casserole. So maybe we'll do that in a couple of days. Okay. Make a chicken casserole with the leftovers. I don't have my oven on right now because it's quite early. But if you're on the East Coast, on the East Coast, you could get started on this right away. So the thing about roasting a chicken is you just need the oven to be really hot at first. And so I'm probably going to put this into a 425 degree oven for about 15 minutes just to get this really good and hot, maybe crisp the skin a little bit. And then I'm going to put this top on, right? This is my parents' roaster, which I do need to return to them. And then we're going to keep the top on. We're going to bake it. All right. A big ass chicken like this, it might take about an hour and a half. And then I'll take the top off. And we'll turn the heat down to about 375. We're going to put this on, and it keeps all the juices in there, right? And then we're going to take the top off. I might turn up the heat to about 400, and then we're going to crisp the skin. It's just all that easy. Okay. It's easy. So anyway, let me see. Oh gosh. Yay, memoir. Yeah. I want a real, and it's going to, yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting story. I was drawn to it. I knew I needed to take it home, and it changed my life. It really did. It really changed my life, which I'll talk more about in my memoir, and probably the print version of the memoir. And it's going to take a couple of years. Oh, you did a big ass 30-pound turkey for Thanksgiving. Good for you. Good for you. You know what I would really love one day is to make all kinds of cookbooks, big ass this and big ass cooking and saucy divorcee and all that. That's a Magnalite roaster, right? I don't know. It is a stainless steel. I don't know. It's stainless steel, but it has that nice dome top. I know what you're talking about. Magnalite. That's what they use a lot in New Orleans, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Cajuns love this pan. Yep. Yep. Let's say. Oh, Magnalite. It's heavy as heck. Yeah. It could be, but it's a non-stick Magnalite. Anyway, I love that. I love that stuff. Okay. So that's the cooking portion of the day. I'm actually just going to leave this here because I've got a meeting at the school for one of my kids. And then I could put this in the oven before I go to the school meeting after school. And then by the time we get back, it'll all be done. And I don't know about you guys. I'm going to switch this over. I'm going to continue to talk. Let me go back. Okay. This is working. I cannot believe this is working. This is so exciting for me. You guys have to understand. I nerded out over this. Wait, do I have my tea over there? Okay, because I am a little thirsty. Okay. Hi again. So let's see. Let's mute this. See the mute button. Mute this. Yay. And now we're back. Can you tell the difference in sound? Can you tell? Now, the other day, I thought I was using this, but it wasn't this at all. It was a speaker that was like on the other side of my room. And so that's why the sound was so bad. But, I'm doing this on a budget. I'm low tech. Anyway, but that was super fun. So anyway, I'm going to be redoing my website. And I'd love to make money one day and pay somebody to redo my website. Because you can do a lot these days with a WordPress template, but it would be really nice to have it like some kind of, something nice, but one day. Anyway, we're going to redo the website with kind of a beach theme in the Pacific Northwest. And that's, oh yeah, I remember. That's why I called it the Flying Kitchen, because we were always flying from duty station to duty station. So that's my story. That was a really roundabout way to get and explain to you why this is called the Flying Kitchen. Oh, you can tell the difference in the sound. I know. One of these days I'll have, better stuff, but I so appreciate you guys being here. And, my kids, of course they could, but because it's the same thing. I let my children believe whatever they want. It's so funny. I was like, I'm going to mass now. And one of my sons is like, have fun with that. But also, if they were to build me a website, I would have to, it's my work. And so I'd have to be strict and be like, no, it has to be like this. No, it has to be like that. And that would kill the fun. They would not like that. So I can redo my website. Anyway, I will. And I'll put recipes up and it'll be a nice, fun place. Okay. Anyway, But, you know, it's like you don't really need a recipe when you're just roasting a chicken. You just throw a bunch of crap in a thing. You put olive oil on it. You need seasonings. Okay. Salt, pepper, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder. Throw some vegetables in there. Put it in heat. All right. You can't go wrong. All right. The only thing that people mess up with chicken is that they overcook it, or and that's it's going to be hard to overcook it in that dome, right, with the lid. Or or they don't understand hygiene and food handling with speaking of, no, I pretty well, I should, well, I'm going to have to disinfect everything now because I touched that chicken. Oh, good. Yes. Well, okay. So let's now look at some articles. If you guys just want to hang out with me a little longer, well, where are we in time here? Oh, yes. It's been about an hour, and I'm going to have to, I don't know, maybe go in about 20, 30 minutes. But so yeah, I mean, my best advice with cooking, I'm just going to talk about cooking while I pull up some articles here. This is the thing. If you are on a strict budget, you can't really make a mistake. And I think that's a lot of it. Let's see here. Should we go to Instagram? I really wanted to show you our darling, America's darling, um, Caroline Levitt. Isn't she darling? Isn't she just the cutest little thing? So spunky. Oh, she's just out there, just like a little kitten, like a little kitten. Meow. And you know, God bless her. Um, she she she's very disappointed in the Pope. Okay, let us watch this. All right, we're gonna listen to our darling here.
Bloodshed with poverty for far too long. I think it's deeply unfortunate. I don't think that peace should be partisan or political or controversial. And of course, the administration wants all those who were invited to join the Board of Peace to join. Because again, the Board of Peace is overseeing the reconstruction of a territory that has been plagued with violence, with bloodshed, with poverty for far too long. I think it's deeply unfortunate. I don't think that peace should be partisan or political or controversial. And
as we can all see, this one's got a heart of gold. Okay. She's very concerned about the people of Gaza. And who could argue with peace? Anyway, that was too exhausting. Yeah, and it's very unfortunate. And yeah. She's cute. She's a little fire plug. She's darling. Isn't she just the cutest little thing? Oh yeah. My squash fries. Thank you. I'll get those started in a minute. And have I made any new friends since being back home? Yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up with everybody here. I have a whole village here. I got people bringing hams. I got people bringing squashes, fruits and vegetables. I got people helping me with everything. Okay. I know most of the people at the schools. I either went to school with them or their parents were my teacher, or their parents were teachers, and they're teachers. And I mean, it's been very important for us to have that. Okay. Yes. Yes. Very good point. Yeah. I know. Her boss published a video of the Gaza Riviera. Yeah. Yeah. What is Carolyn yammering about? No one is more partisan with their peace than yes. Yeah. And so, you know, it's this constant stuff. And another thing I wanted to point out just about our friends over at Fox News and, you know, darling, our America's sweetheart. When is she going to come out with a cookbook? Okay. I want that would be great. In America's Sweetheart, Caroline Levitt, they are always, remember when I said that it's almost like there's such a cool, in this, like yesterday with Kid Rock and RFK being absolute eye candy for us. absolute eye candy for all of us ladies. I mean, that was some hot stuff. But there's very much an in crowd. They're very much an in crowd. Like, and whenever I've seen Fox News, it's always kind of like, oh yeah, that guy, rah," you know. I'm just saying, there's a lot of it just seems to me there's a lot of cool kid maneuvering. All right, don't we wish we were cool? And what is it that we can't understand about peace? How important peace is. Alrighty, so next, let's see. I wanted to show you, and then I'll have to go pretty soon, but I wanted to show you some other. So CNN is covering the GTD. There we are. Starry night. Do, 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 do. Finding this one. I wanted to show you something. So a couple of weeks ago, I talked about how so much of this is mainstream news. Okay. And here we are. The Catholic issue is once again that. So this is from CNN, published yesterday by Christopher Lamb. Vatican will not participate in Trump's board of peace. Pope Leo the 14th will not be joining U.S. President Donald Trump's board of peace, the Vatican top diplomat said Thursday, adding that the United Nations should be left to handle crisis situations. The board, which will be chaired indefinitely by Trump, of course it will, was originally designed to oversee reconstruction of Gaza. However, its objective has since expanded to make the board a global peacekeeping body. CNN. I find that very interesting wording. Pope Leo was invited to join the board last month. Cardinal Pietro Parolin, remember, he was one of the top contenders for Pope as well. The Holy See Secretary of State told reporters they will not take up the invitation, saying they were left perplexed by some points of the plan and that critical issues needed to be resolved. I'll say. The Cardinal said that one of the Vatican's concerns is that at the international level, it should, above all, be the UN that manages these crisis situations. This is one of the points on which we have insisted. Parolin's comments came after attending an event with the Italian government to mark the anniversary of the Lateran Pacts, which created the Vatican City as a sovereign state nearly a century ago. Oh, that would be interesting to study. I need to learn about that. So, yeah, this is, I think, I don't know about you guys, but this is a pretty straight talk from the Vatican. And as we all know, if you have any experience with the Catholic Church, or we went to Catholic school, or you're full on in practicing, or you're kind of tertiary once in a while practicing, you know that the Vatican speaks in code. And they said a lot here. They said, what about the United Nations? And they said, no, thank you. And so, of course, so many people are, cries of peace, peace. So many people are noticing now the division in the Catholic Church. They are starting to realize that the architects of Project 2025, a lot of far right Catholics, and also what we're dealing with here is a pope, a Holy Father, who is not complying with the cool kids, and he doesn't want to sit at their table. Okay. They're saying, let's make a new band. Like, it's like Jack Black, how could you kick me out of what is mine? I mean, it's not that that the Pope, runs the UN, but generally speaking, you're just going to create a whole new thing. And then you're going to chastise people for not joining it. Like, what's wrong with you? Don't you want to be in the cool kids? Don't you want to be in the cool? Don't you like peace? Anyway, I knew they were going to do that. Yes. Yes. Why do you need a board of peace when you follow the Prince of Peace? Doesn't Trump require a $1 billion buy-in for the board of pEaCe? Yes, as a matter of fact, he does. Why would the Pope do that? Very good question. Because the Pope wants to be on the cool kids table. That's why. And if he doesn't want to be on the cool kids table, then that must mean he hates tables. Oh, right. Oh, really? Okay. The far right in South Carolina is mostly Catholic. Thank you for adding that. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. What else do we want to look at? Let's see what else I've got here. Any other delightful tidbits? It's and I do think that my paid Substack, we're going to start doing some more exclusive content, but later. Okay. Right now, I'm just happy to be on all these different platforms with you together. And whoops, let's go back and find another thing to share. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm. So we have something new from the New York Times. This is only 3 days old. Here we are. I'll make myself tiny Shannon here. So, despite Epstein's toxicity, Steve Bannon stood by him. So, once again, we've got all kinds of now indications, all kinds of things from mainstream news. Despite Epstein's toxicity, Steve Bannon stood by him, texts indicate. Mr. Bannon, a MAGA podcaster, developed, far-right Catholic, thrice divorced, no judgment, as a soon-to-be saucy divorcee myself, but still, it makes you pause. Mr. Bannon, a MAGA podcaster, developed a seemingly chummy relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, who was accused of trafficking. He said it was in the name of getting Mr. Epstein to open up. Look, I was just trying to talk to him. I was just trying to get him to spill some beans. I was just trying to get him to tell me more of what's going on. An undated photograph released by the Justice Department shows Stephen K. Bannon. They address him by his full name, Stephen K. Bannon. Sit down right now. With Jeffrey Epstein, Mr. Bannon coached him on how to deal with newly surfaced allegations that he was a serial documents suggest. This is by Sharon Lafreniere and Teresa Mondria Terrell, New York Times. This is interesting. Sharon Lafreniere is an investigative reporter covering the Trump administration. Teresa Mondria Terrell is an engineer who used AI to help analyze millions of Epstein files. Think about that, you guys. Millions. They needed AI to go through it all. Mid-afternoon in late June 2019, Stephen K. Bannon, once again, Stephen K. Bannon, sit down right now, sent Jeffrey Epstein an excited series of texts. Dude, he wrote, is this real? Tell me this is real. Dude, they are chums. Mr. Epstein had just texted him a headline from the Miami Herald. It reported that victims of Mr. Epstein's abuse had lost a court battle to nullify a decade-old agreement that protected him from prosecution from those crimes. Off and on for months, Mr. Bannon, a leader in the MAGA movement and former top aide to President Trump, had been advising Mr. Epstein on how to handle resurrected allegations that he was a serial Mr. Bannon recommended which lawyers to hire, his own, when to lie low, and when he should jump on an opening to push his narrative. He scheduled what the two men called media training. Geez, you guys. First, we need to push back on the lies, then crush the trafficking narrative, then rebuild your image as a philanthropist. Mr. Bannon wrote to Mr. Epstein on April 2019. That was 5 months after the Miami Herald series exposed how prosecutors had ignored evidence of Mr. Epstein's crimes. This is fascinating. Okay, you have to read this. You have to read this article. I don't want to, because it's good and I don't want to be an article hog, but it goes on. It goes on to explain what they said about Pope Francis. It goes on to explain the plot to take Francis down. Okay. And I have another thing to show you here real quick. The plot to take Francis down. And what was that about? So I go, and I'm going to put all the links to all these articles in the comments when I'm done. But the plot to quote, take Francis down was stemming from, I'm going to show this to you because I found the article from 2019. Where is it? Sorry, it takes me a second to do this. Okay. So this is an article from 2019, and it reads just real quick. Advocate says Pope read liked new book on gays in the Vatican. Okay. So, I mean, look, just once again, who's the arbiter of morality here? Who's the arbiter of what is okay and what? I mean, honestly, it's crazy making how now they were attacking Pope Francis for liking a book. Okay, let me just read this really quick. This is from May 10th, 2019. This is from Crux, Taking the Catholic Pulse. Rome, a prominent advocate in the fight against clerical abuse, has said that during a recent private audience at the Vatican, Pope Francis told him he'd read Inside the Closet. That's a book. Inside the Closet at the Vatican, a book about homosexuality in the Catholic Church, and said that he was already aware of many priests mentioned in it who are gay, right? No big shock, okay? And honestly, I have so much to share with you, though, about the witch hunt on gay priests. It is truly horrible. And anyway, there's more to say about that later. But yeah, he said he read it. He said it was good and that he knew of many of them. Of course, we discussed good gays and the gays who are evil, but because of power, the advocate said in a text message obtained by Crux or Crux. I don't know how to pronounce that. The message from the person was sent to Friedrich Martel, a French journalist and author of Inside the Closet at the Vatican, Power, Homosexuality, Hypocrisy, a book published February 21st that details the presence of homosexuality in the Catholic Church, and that is the product of 4 years. And that is the product of 4 years of research and interviews with more than 1,500 individuals in 30 countries, including 41 cardinals, 52 bishops, and 45 apostolic nuncios. So basically, Francis used conciliatory language when it comes to homosexuality, the now famous line, "Who am I to judge?" And more recently, he stated that homosexual tendencies are not a sin during a March interview with the Spanish news outlet La Sexta. So though Martel made clear that his book is not about the abuse scandals that have rocked the Catholic Church for the past decade, he says that the book gives you the key to sexual abuse in the church. Okay, so, and he writes that homosexuality has no link to sexual abuse, he underlined, adding that statistically, most cases of abuse involve heterosexual men with young girls and women as the principal victims. But when you look at the church, there is singularity where 80 to 85% of the victims of the priests are boys or men, Martel said. And the church link is clear. According to the author, most of the homosexual clergy he had interviewed have a sexuality that is sublimated and repressed, which in his view leads to not only living a double life and even crime, but also creates problems in terms of accountability. Stories of cover-up are intrinsically linked to homosexuality, Martel said. In 90% of the cases, the bishop who covers up himself a homosexual, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that really was, okay, that was the what would you call it? The ignition point, I think, to that. And I've spoken to a lot of people on the far right side of the church or deconstructing, and the prevailing belief is that it's them gays in the church that are causing the problems. And so yeah. And so they're saying it's a yeah, that it's a sex abuse in the church is a homosexual issue, which then of course begets the witch hunt. What was it? I think it was the Sedavantikists. So there's another fringe sect called the Sedavantikists. So if you familiar with Mel Gibson, you might know that he's a Sedavantikist. And Sedavantikist is kind of a take on Latin for the seat is vacant. So they don't believe that the Pope is actually the Pope. They think the last real Pope was Pius XII. That's what they think. But they think that, well, there are so many things that just don't add up here. It still cracks me up that Peter Thiel, of all people, is pushing this agenda. Can't understand what his underlying motive is for this. Well, because he gets to do whatever he wants because he's a billionaire. But they want their structure, right? They want their their hierarchy, right? You have the leader who's advised by the theologians, and then you have the ruling class, the learned people, right? And then you have the peasants, right? And then the underlings and the dirty people and the people who, and so where does homosexuality fit in their medieval era model of the way humans need to be in order to sustain humanity and let them flourish, right? There's no place, and they want them out of the church. So anyway, there was this group in the Midwest, I think it was a Sedavantikist group, that took out like what was that, $5 million? It was maybe 3 million. It was a lot. It was this huge, they did this campaign, millions of dollars of exposing gay priests. It was predatory. It was intimidating. It was harassment. It was terrible. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And so they're trying, it's just scapegoating. It's one more of the scapegoating that they're trying to do. Anyway, keep your eye out for that, the scapegoating. And so that was the kernel, that was the beginning, the ignition point of basically Steve Bannon saying, let's sink Francis for this, right? Yeah, with Epstein. Such a man of virtue, Anyway, okay. Anything, just other things to show you. What was I going to show you? What else? Ha, ha, ha. I think that was about it. Oh, just to show you one more little fun thing before I go. Okay, we are going to, one more little fun thing about Steve Bannon, and it's just another little weird thing that he's been doing. And like, once again, I have this little theory that Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation is really quite sick of Steve Bannon. And so he's trying to brand himself as kind of, not a shock jock, but a man of a more genteel, take. And I think he's really trying to soften his image because he's been a bit of a brat to people. Okay. But he's trying to kind of, like I said, Kevin, we'll talk about that another day. But if you're interested in one of Steve Bannon's little projects, these are all people who think that the best times were in the past. And that should be concerning for all of us. But he really believes that, where am I? That the world needs something and that men need something called gladiator school. And so this is new for when I first learned of Steve Bannon's gladiator school. Basically Italy had basically said, no, you don't get your gladiator school, Steve Bannon, go home. But then in the spring of 2024, they did basically get get a permission from the Italian government to go ahead and make their far right gladiator school, which is it would be a school for young men to learn how to be men and manly men. So, Victoria's former EU Parliament staffer said the court verdict was a blow against politically driven prosecutions elsewhere of Donald Trump allied figures. So, this is about a year ago. Rome, Italian courts have vindicated a scheme sponsored by key allies of former US President Donald Trump. Wait, why did they say former if this was just published? Silly. To set up a gladiator school for right wing wannabe politicians in an ancient monastery in the mountains of central Italy. Benjamin Harnwell, a former British Conservative European Parliament staffer, rented out the 700-year-old Trisulti charter house east of Rome in 2017 with a view to establishing an academy for the Judeo-Christian West with his longtime friend Steve Bannon, the hard right activist and podcaster who played a key role in Trump's election victory in 2016. Shortly after moving in, Harnwell was sued by Italy's top state prosecutor, which alleged that he had fraudulently obtained the lease for the monastery and failed to pay $200,000 in rent. After 5 years of grueling lawsuits through civil and criminal courts, Harnwell was exonerated Thursday after a magistrate in a northern Roman courthouse ruled that he had obtained the lease correctly and had paid all funds due, corroborating the verdict of previous rulings in the civil court. Steve Bannon's Academy for the Judeo-Christian West, the Gladiator School, lives to fight another day, a jubilant Harnwell told Politico as he left the courtroom, adding that it was a blow against politically driven prosecutions elsewhere of Trump-allied figures. They destroyed my reputation with accusations they knew weren't true, even at the time they were making them. Okay, so, of course, I'm going to have a link to that in the comments. But what I wanted to point out about this is because he's got so many irons in the fire. And what is this about the West? Okay. And we did see, and I didn't put any links to Marco Rubio and his weird Orban stuff, but they definitely are very concerned about the West. And they're very concerned about whiteness. And they're very concerned about keeping things in the order that they want, and they're very concerned with taking things back. That's my opinion on that. So, yeah, Paula White. Oh, really? Right now? Just joined. Doug Wilson has holding a prayer service at the Pentagon during business hours. It's just right now. So Doug Wilson is the pastor to Pete Hegseth. Doug Wilson is a real guy. He believes in wife spanking. And not the playful kind, but like real punitive, rigid hierarchies. And this guy, if you haven't heard about Doug Wilson yet, you need to. So is he doing that right now? Will Paula White be there? She sold guardian angels on the internet for $1,000. I know. Really interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, there's been a lot of prayer services. So we talked about Catholics for Catholics last week. They were doing masses at Mar-a-Lago and the White House. Oh, yes. Verify BBC's reporting of Andrew's arrest. That brings me hope. Does that bring you guys hope that we can actually, that the Europeans have had it, that they're exposing the Epstein files? Yeah. Yeah. I've been debating whether I should even say that because, I don't want to cause a scandal. However, I am a soon-to-be saucy divorcee. So, who cares? Yes, wife spanking, and not the good kind. Oh, okay. It was reported today, Doug Wilson, and then it happened on Wednesday, perhaps Tuesday. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, a lot of creepy stuff going on. A lot of people and just so you know, Pete Hegseth, okay, not a Catholic, but he follows Doug Wilson. Doug Wilson, who just this they don't believe in women voting. They don't believe in women working outside the home, any of this stuff. And look, I was a former trad wife myself. I took care of the kids. I took care of all the home. And I didn't have anything to do with the finances. I didn't really know how to do things administratively. I just sprinkled joy and made birthday cakes and planted herbs and did a lot of emotional labor. But we can talk more about how, look, walking things backwards, and it's framed by these circles that the downfall of Western civilization was women leaving the home. Okay. The abandonment of rigid gender roles, um and the loss of manliness. And so they're basically trying to take things back to a time where they never lived, the good old days. And and then you go back to the medieval feudalism, the lord, the master, the servant, all of this. They think, and it's just so wrong, eh, because this is they're not saying it. I mean, there are a lot of people who are saying, yeah, democracy is failing. Of course, Zanzer said earlier, well, when you mess up democracy and then you point to it and you say this is a failure, well, I mean, that's sabotage. But they are embodying the values and trying to instill the values of anti-democracy, by saying things like, well, everything is failing because women don't know their place, or we don't have rigid structures and hierarchies, and there's people, out of control and living as individuals and all of this. Trans for everyone. hmm You mean the Europeans uncovering the redacted stuff? I think they are. I think they are. Yes. We'll add the spanking comment in the content from here on out. Yes. Yeah, quite the cult. Google Wilson. It is insane. Insane. Okay. And I knew people on the far right side of the Catholic Church who believe the same things, that the downfall of Western society was a woman leaving the home, evil daycare, evil public school, all of this. I mean, it really is. And so anyway, spread awareness. And a lot of these people are extremely insular. You wouldn't really meet them. You wouldn't really know that they're there. And especially the far right Catholics, I think they've been very happy to let the evangelicals do all the legwork, be all loud and proud, while the far right Catholics are building wealth, actually putting policy into place, actually instilling people on the Supreme Court by the help of Leonard Leo, who we're going to talk about another time. And so not necessarily people who you would actually meet in Walmart or the grocery store, although you may see, big vans, lots of kids, but also they may not talk to you. Like if you are in the checkout line at Walmart trying to entertain a toddler from one of these far right, groups, and you're like, "Hi, how are you doing?" They would probably look at you like, "What are you doing?" Right? What is your agenda here? I'm just trying to spread some joy with some finger puppets, but a bit suspicious, right? Heavily guarded. They don't like mainstream culture. They don't like mainstream people, right? And they don't like these newfangled ideas like democracy. Interestingly, so many came from public schools. So many. Well, now we have second and third generation homeschoolers though as well. But interestingly, they do know. But it's so easy to get pulled into these things because they point every problem in society, and there's always a scapegoat: women or bad men, right? But women and the gays, of course, and a big government and trans for everyone, right? Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much. Heard that the other day from some beta male so-called pastor. It's BS, scapegoating, and toxic masculinity disguised as religious beliefs. Yes. And they are serious. They are serious. Okay. They believe that women have a biological function only. The Gothard. I find it fascinating. It was in the Gothard ministry back in the 70s. I kind of wish I still had some of those notebooks they pushed us to purchase. Oh, you were in the Gothard circles. That's brutal too. Right. Yeah. Gothard. That was the one of the advisors of the Duggar family, and yeah. Mhm. Mhm. It makes you wonder. It's pretty sad when they are so pathetic and fearful that they can't compete with women on an open field. Women are smarter and better educated now. Men got lazy when they didn't have to compete openly. Um, all indications would point maybe to yes. Interesting. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. Yes. Women, gays, liberals. Yeah. Scapegoats. Well, I've had such a good, oh, I always love your comments. So Zanzer here has a background in the far right side of the Catholic Church too. You were raised in it, right? I think the Catholic Opus Days are trying to cast a wide net to bring in the disillusioned Mormons and evangelicals. Interesting. And that's why Candace Owens really is destroying Turning Point USA right now. Yeah. I got to look into that. That is all I know. Your theories are always spot on. I think the Catholic Opus Dei, so the far right side of the Catholic Church, Opus Dei adjacent, are trying to cast a wide net to bring in the disillusioned Mormons and evangelicals. And that's why Candace Owens is destroying Turning Point USA right now. First of all, if anyone is looking at this going, wait a second, Catholics, Mormons, evangelicals, how would they even get along? I'll tell you real quick. Okay. In the far right side of the Catholic Church, you are told that everyone is Catholic, they just don't know it yet. And Mormons are in a bad place, but you can pull them in. And evangelicals, they're in a bad place. That this is all from schism, which is people breaking away from the Catholic Church, right? Henry VIII, whatevs, right? And so they believe, and this is the plan. So when people are like, wait, Catholics and Protestants are never going to get along. Well, the Protestants don't want anything to do with Catholics. Very true. But the Catholics see the Protestants as fallen away brothers and sisters that are misguided, that you just have to be really nice to, and find a way to hook in and pull in somehow. They want to bring them home to Rome. Okay. That's the word. That's the phrase, home to Rome. And the same with the Mormons, too. How do you feel about that, Mormons? Do you want to be Catholic? Because they want you. So, anyway, it could be that is really interesting. Candace Owens is destroying Turning Point USA. I got to tune into her more. Oh, and Erica Kirk. Oh, well, we are going to have to talk about this. Yeah. Rad trads push conversion therapy. Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. It is a very much a fear factor in rad trads is another way of saying the far right side of the Catholic Church. Rad, they call themselves rad trads. To have a gay child, they can't even fathom. There's a lot of fear about that. Let's see. And I am a former far right Catholic person, now a gutter Catholic, and I have at least one gay child. And my voice to you is you love them. That's what. Okay, you just love your kids, damn it. Don't be dicks. Okay, anyway, sorry, I digress. Candace Owens' husband seems 100% Opus Dei. Need confirmation on this. I shall look into that. Oh, really? Really? Now, I do still have a clip of her saying that she believes she wants a theocracy. I think we should have a theocracy, she says. The totally delusional Candace Owens is despondent that she wasn't picked as Charlie's successor. Interesting. There was so much going on there. That happened right in the middle when things were going on in my personal life, and I was not able to really wrap my head around all of it. Oh, were you now? Yes, we know. I was raised Mormon and taught that the Catholic Church was the great abominable church. Yes. I interestingly started studying Mormonism because I wanted to understand what was going on there. Because growing up in Florence, Oregon, we have a lot of people of different religions here, and I had a lot of good friends who were Mormon, but I could always notice like they were really worried that you weren't going to make it to heaven, and they were never going to see you again. And so if you were really good friends with a Mormon, they were really worried about you. So I started studying Mormonism about 2000, and it's really fascinating. And so, yeah, definitely the Whore of Babylon. Yeah, they definitely believe the Catholic Church is the worst, and there's a lot of them, of course, religions who hate Catholics. And look, the Catholics don't exactly have a very good track record about not, killing and conquering and doing a lot of horrible, horrible things. Okay, and that's why we like Vatican II. Okay, because it changed the mission of the church to conquest, right? And conversion by sword into well, how about you just take care of people? And what I was going to say about Pete Hegseth and Doug Wilson. If you ever notice Pete Hegseth's tattoos, if you've seen my content before, I talk about this all the time. He has this word on his forearm. I think it's Deus Vult, and that's Latin for God wills it. And that's a first crusade rallying cry. God wills it, Deus Vult, which Doug Wilson's people believe in Christian conquest, in crusades, and wiping out the Muslims and the Jews. Okay, just so you know, if you don't know what the crusades are, they were not a glorious time of ladies' fair and good times. They were really horrible, like streets turning to rivers of blood. Horrible. Okay, so we don't like that. We don't want that back. Okay. Uh huh. Uh huh. Yep. Yep. Interesting. Well, let's look into that. Let's look into that. Candace Owens is, however, effectively exposing the hypocrisy in the whole Christian nationalist Turning Point USA situation. So there's that. I think Candace Owens is very good at turning on a dime. And yeah, interesting. Well, I have to look into that. Gladiators were used for sport. Exactly. That's the thing I can't understand about his gladiator school. I mean, did he watch Gladiator? They were used. They were slaves. They used for sport. Oh, it's terrible. But somehow it's just gonna be manly now? I don't understand. I don't understand. Mm, hmm, hmm. Fascinating. I was raised Southern Baptist. Then college happened and liberation theory, theology, and I converted American style more than Rome, I guess. Very interesting. Yeah. We love Vatican II. We do. The mass changes from 2011 messed with my whole Catholic experience. Oh, and with your spirit. I still do that. I'm still crossing myself at the wrong times. I'm still saying and you and with you instead of and with your spirit. Anyway, I'll get there. I still write 2002 on checks as well. So and that's the thing. Um well, yeah. Well, you have a point. I'm a Methodist, and I believe the Catholic religion is horrible. Biggest hypocrites ever. Yeah, we have a really, really, really bad track record, and there are many Catholics, me included, who are doing what we can to make things better. Okay, and but your point is valid. So valid. It is so valid. Okay. I just want to keep that up there so everyone knows. Yeah. We got a lot of splaining to do. You know how Ricky said that to Lucy? Lucy, you have a lot of splaining to do. We got a lot of splaining to do. Okay. We do not want the Crusades back. We do like Vatican II. We like a church that just serves the poor. Can we do that? Can we do that? Okay. Can we just make amends for all the wrong things? Can we give reparations to Indigenous peoples? Can we just make things better? Okay. Honestly. Honestly. Ah, yeah. Yeah, and with your spirit. And then you have JD coming in, the biggest poser of all. Anyway, I must go. I do have mom things to do. I've got maternal administrative things to do today. Uh, my best friend. Okay, so if you're reading my memoir in real time, I got to plug my memoir again because it's paying the bills and I really need your help. If you want to join my paid Substack, if you want to support my work, that is super, super appreciated. My memoir in real time, The Gutter Catholic Goes Home, is has been on the bestseller list on Substack for 14 weeks now, and it has changed my life. And thank you. It enables me to pay for legal counsel, enables me to pay the bills during this time, and thank you. Um, it is, a flash in the pan. It is definitely not a long-term career, but I appreciate you being there. So if you want to read my memoir in real time, The Gutter Catholic Goes Home, it's deep. Okay. It's not just rants. It's a lot of thought, a lot of thought. And of course, my own personal story and what it's like to come home to my hometown of Florence, Oregon after 30 years. And um, yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. All right. Anyway, oh, thank you. Stephen always reminds me to say this. Remember to like the video to push the algorithm. Thank you, Stephen. So appreciate it. And I so appreciate everyone being here. You guys don't even know. You keep me company. And yeah. Yeah. I always appreciate your comments. You're so good. I lean heavily left on most issues, but the left really failed at offering struggling men a safe space and soft landing as roles have changed. Yeah. The left gave the toxic right a monopoly on struggling men. Yeah, they really have. Thank you so much for saying that. Gosh, you're so right. Yeah. Oh, and now this is good. And now we have a bunch of crusader larpers. Yes, and they mean it. They mean it. They want their crusades. I call them crusader bros. I have seen them in my comments. Protestants and Catholics fighting. They're like in their 20s. No, the Catholics are going to win. No, the Protestants are going to win. Ha ha ha. And I'm thinking, my gosh, you don't even know what you're talking about. Streets turned into rivers of blood. The Crusades were not fun. They were not funny. They were not interesting. There was a lot of death and pestilence, and it's just ridiculous. Anyway, so if you want to support my work, subscribe on my paid Substack. You make all the difference for me. I'm going to go do mom stuff now. I super appreciate you guys being here. And I was going to tell you, that's what I was going to say. If you follow my memoir in real time, you know that my confidant and my best friend is Simon from San Diego, which is not his real name. And he is a gay Catholic, friend from high school, and we've kept in touch all these years. And so I was just going to tell you, Simon wants me to call him. That's why I have to go too. So I'm going to go clean up my kitchen, call Simon. We're going to talk about stuff. He's so good. He's so good at roasting. Yeah. Exeth acts like a crusader like now. Yeah. The Department of War. Yeah, exactly. They're serious. Gosh, I wish you guys could understand. Okay. So now, but what we're going to do, we're going to keep doing this. Okay. We're going to keep talking about all the yes. Thank you for bringing this up. Thank you for bringing that up. What we're going to do is we're going to continue to have Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood over at Shannon's house. Shannon's saucy divorcee. Should I call it a saucy divorcee pad or a saucy divorcee layer? Okay. At Shannon's saucy divorcee layer in Florence, Oregon, where, yes, she has so many lifelong friends. It's been amazing. I am never alone. I am never alone. I am never in need. I always, and then I have lifelong friends calling me every day anyway, who grew up here too. And I got their parents checking out on me. I got their parents bringing me hams. I got people bringing stuff. And we're going to continue with finger puppets and bringing joy. And we're going to talk about Catholic stuff and cook food. And you guys keep me company. Okay. Yeah, Simon. Everyone loves Simon. Simon is a treasure. And one day after my memoir is published, like by a real publisher, I'm looking for a literary agent. You guys know I can write. All right. I can write my ass off. All right. I need a literary agent. I've always told Simon, like, Simon, one of these days we need a Simon podcast and just like name it Simon Says or something. Cause he's got so many, he's good. He's funny. All right. He's a good person. He's been my very good friend. And now I'm going to call him and I'm going to sit on my patio and talk to my friend Simon. So you think it should be called a pad. You think it should be called a layer. I think we will. Oh, wash your hands. Now I gotta throw that. I gotta wash these. These get a little. I mean, I did have a soapy rag with me, and I'm pretty good with smells. I mean, but yes, I did touch a raw chicken, and I should have washed my hands thoroughly before touching anything else. But all I have to do now, okay, because I'm a safety ranger, is go get some of those Lysol wipes and just wipe things down. Okay, that's what we can do. We always must be very careful about contaminating our kitchens with raw poultry. That's my thank you. I super appreciate you. But that's my parting I got two of you call say it needs to be a crib. Let's see what it sounds like. My saucy divorcee crib. I don't know. I've never said crib before. A layer. A layer. I don't know. And my parting words to you today is please always, please always wash your hands after touching raw poultry. A den. My saucy divorcee den. Maybe that would be it too. Anyway, I so appreciate everyone being here. You guys are the best. And you'll know more about what you really did for me one day, but not today. Anyway, thanks so much, everyone. I'm going to go call Simon and say stuff. I'm going to go sit out on my my patio, which isn't that so nice. And I'm going to sit there and have another cup of tea, talk to Simon before I go to the school meeting. All right. Bye. Take care. All right. Live long and prosper.